Hi, my name is Bill. I am a 40-odd-year-old man living in the city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I find myself in a situation where I have learned little life lessons that I think might help and benefit other people. Now, upon saying that, your response is, what a fool, what an idiot. What could he possibly have learned? Well, I am a fool. I will admit that wholeheartedly. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I'm not the brightest person in the world. But I have made a point of learning from my mistakes as much as possible. And I've made a lot of mistakes. Sometimes on purpose, just to reinforce a lesson I learned from the mistake. But from what I've learned, I think they are of great benefit to others, or they could be of benefit to others. One of the quotes I learned from a coffee mug, of all things, was from Francis Bacon. It goes something along the lines of: read, not to confute or contradict, not to believe in or take advantage of, not to find talk or discourse, but to weigh and consider. Put simply, when you're given information, or you're seeking information, or information is presented to you in whatever form, whether it be the internet, a book, or just conversation, then you should, instead of believing it or contradicting it or talking about it later, you should think about it, consider it. Open yourself to the possibility that what you're hearing might possibly be true. And if you do, well, then you will probably learn a little something. Even if it's just a fact that what you're hearing or what you're seeing is not right. Now, I live my life, as I said, making a lot of mistakes. I personally will say that I am a stubborn, hard-headed person. Less so now than I used to be. I used to be a know-it-all. Now I know the least, you could say, because I am pretty much doubt what I believe, and to a degree that lets me consider other people's opinions and ideas. I wanted to understand everything that was presented before me. Have you ever met one of those kids that always ask questions? Even when you gave an answer, you still ask questions? That was me. I was very skeptical and inquisitive. I always ask questions to find out answers, to understand more. Most people get annoyed by this because they feel they've given a proper answer, but as a young man, that wasn't enough for me. So, through the years, I've changed my approach a little. Realized some people don't like too many questions, so I hold back sometimes. But I have, in the course of the last, since I was 16, began a process of trying to learn and understand as much as possible about the world around me, about people. And I've come to the conclusion that I've learned some things. Well, more to the point, when I was 35, I was seeking, up until that point, to overcome certain basic problems we all have. We deal with people that are irritable and come across as assholes. We interact with people in perhaps not the most productive fashion. We are, in general, find it difficult to deal with certain types of people or certain situations. And our interactions with people in the world sometimes don't always benefit us the way we want. All these problems I've encountered so much, so often, whether professionally, socially, or within the family, whether it be in conversation or in simple procedural policies or directions taken or given, problems always arose, and I myself was prone to find answers. Most people give a dismissive answer to why something bad happens and moves on. I was prone to learn from all these problems. And by the time I was 35, I found myself able to not only avoid many of these problems, but also to really identify the cause of the problems and to, well, overcome them before they became a problem. To use the old phrase, I sort of nipped it in the bud. Now, I had still a lot to learn, but at 35, some of the basic stuff that generally plagues a lot of people in their life, causing them discomfort or displeasure or anger, was something I've sort of overcome. And I was thrilled at this prospect, quite happy to say I've overcome this, but I was curious. How did I overcome it? What did I see to help me overcome it? What procedure? What steps did I take to overcome these particular difficulties in life? And so I spent the next 6, 7, 8 years trying to find the answers to this question. And I would even consciously make mistakes, make decisions that were mistakes, just to see the gears in my head working, to know what I've done or what I've learned to make this assessment or judgment to avoid this problem. And over the years, I've come to pick up that there were certain things I learned, either through reading or interactions with others, through the countless lectures I endured online and in other universities around the country. And I, in essence, by the time I was 43, I had a pretty good sense of the lessons I've learned in many regards. I processed them, I thought about them numerous times, I sort of fine-tuned them a little bit. And now granted, I still made mistakes. But then I took it upon myself, it's time I write this down, because somebody might be able to benefit from this. I learned this, and I am knocking these lessons down to the most basic form I think possible, for myself anyway. And I wrote them all down. After writing these lessons down, let me do a time check. After writing these lessons down, I looked at it, read it over. It seemed pretty straightforward. I put it in the best structural sequence I probably could to create something like a building block of knowledge, if you will. And I put it away. After I did it, I felt foolish and silly, because I thought, why would anybody even listen to me, thinking I might know what I'm talking about? And so I put it away. I was ashamed of it, actually. But lucky for me, 2 years later, I found the book I had stacked up somewhere on the shelf somewhere, and I read it again. I said, okay, well, let's see how foolish I really was, and see if I learned anything in 2 years to make me think I was wrong. Well, I read it with fresh eyes, actually forgetting most of how and what I wrote down. The ideas were still in my head, but the general idea itself, how I wrote it down, was totally gone. So I read it, and surprisingly, everything I wrote down was still valid. I was actually impressed that I actually wrote this. I kind of had to pat myself on the back a little bit. It was at this point that I decided, yeah, this is something good. This was only really meant for my benefit, But I did decide I'm going to share this. I'm going to share this with people. And I was afraid. I don't know how to do it, and didn't know how to publish a book. I later thought and considered doing what I'm doing now, is making videos and put them on the internet with YouTube and a few other sources. And I did. Here I am doing it now. But at the time, I was just happy that I was able to write something concise and generally logical, because I found a few mistakes in it. I made a few alterations to the original. But there it was. I had it, and I want to share it. And that's what I'm going to do in a series of videos. Probably some 15 videos, if I can get them all up. And I hope anybody and everybody listening will treat it as it is. Just some ideas I've had. Some things I've learned. Some things that you don't learn in school. Some things you may learn some from your parents, but not all of this. This is stuff I think we all know deep down. I think any successful person will probably tell you most of what I'm saying is true, but they probably don't have any real understanding of how they came up with this. I myself wanted to find out how I came up with all of this, and that is the purpose of why I'm putting it out there for everyone else. And successful people will probably know all this already, and you could probably learn from it. But if you ever ask somebody who subconsciously knows something to be true, they have a difficult time explaining it and sharing it. And as a result, you can't learn from it. They can't explain it to you. They can give you examples, but they can't explain it. So that's my purpose. I'm going to try to explain this, every little aspect, as much as I can without going into too much detail and making these videos too long. And I hope that you are able to learn from it. And as a last note, I'll put a disclaimer. As I mentioned, I'm a fool. I'm thinking I can actually help people or share something I've learned. But I said, I don't think I can. I don't think you really will take what I have to say as true or anything. In fact, I doubt most people will even take it with an open mind. But there might be one or two people that listen, and, well, something might help you in your life. And that's all I'm after. I want to make the world a better place. And the only way to do that is to do it one person at a time. And hopefully I can do that with this. And this disclaimer I'm going to give you is I'm a fool and I'm wrong most of the time. I've been wrong in the past. I'm wrong probably now for doing this. And I'm wrong and probably will make mistakes in the future. Consider that. Nothing I have to say is true or false. Everything I have to say is just something for you to consider in your daily life when you encounter the problems with your work, or family, or friends. When that happens, maybe you can think about something I've said. If you care to listen to anything that I put in this video or the 15 other ones I'm going to put out. So that's it. I'm a fool, but I'm a fool who thinks I can help. And maybe I can. And with that, I'll say bye.